number: Bathurst, Freetown, and Liberia. General Arnold even proposed using a commercial airline to do it. Whether by accident or design, Tripp found himself at 10 Downing Street for a private midnight supper with Churchill. Scotch and sodas fueled 2 hours of poring over maps and talking strategy before Churchill gave his blessing. Pan Am would organize a ferrying and military supply operation across Africa. Churchill would cable Roosevelt, and Tripp should expect to hear from the president when he landed in New York. When a clipper returned Tripp to New York, a waiting Marine Corps officer escorted him to another plane that whisked him to Washington. Although Churchill and Roosevelt regularly corresponded by letter and telegram, the apparently serendipitous nature of the midnight brainstorming between the airline executive and prime minister is revealed in Roosevelt's first question to Tripp when he was ushered into the Oval Office. "What did you tell the prime minister?" 4 months later, Life magazine took readers into Tripp's office on the 58th floor of New York's Chrysler Building. Writer Noel Bush described the squeak of a giant world globe as Tripp turned it, measuring with parcel string a new airway from Brazil's eastern hump to the African ports of Monrovia, Bathurst, Freetown, and Leopoldville. By the time President Roosevelt was ready to talk plans for running a Pan-American service across the South Atlantic to the Sudan, Tripp had already issued instructions for installing it, Bush revealed. Tripp's latest display of his ability to transfer an extra-hemispheric enterprise from blueprints to blue water on short notice was characteristic. The article's headline added, "Young Chief helps run a branch of U.S. defense." Time magazine observed the airline's 1941 annual report read like a military communique, and Pan Am was an instrument of U.S. policy and a weapon of global war. Tripp wrote in the report that Pan American today is able to serve the United Nations throughout the world is due in large measure to the 14 years of pioneering and scientific progress which have gone into the development of its facilities and the training of its personnel. To the public, those 14 years, encompassing the existence of what was considered the world's greatest airline, were not about wartime exigencies, but the miracle of commercial aviation. Once upon a time, an airplane passing overhead made people stop and stare, even fall to their knees in wonder. Powered flight unshackled terrestrial bonds, obliterated ancient barriers of time and space. An airplane spanned distances in hours and minutes that took weeks or days by land and water. More than any other airline, Pan Am made that miracle a reality. The system, as Pan Am called itself, fulfilled the promise of air travel with style, serving up winged adventure with cocktails and gourmet meals. Within 12 years of its birth, Pan Am encircled the Caribbean and South America, conquered the oceans, boasted 65,000 miles of air routes serving 55 countries, and made its 4-engine Clipper seaplanes a fixture of the skies. Pan Am was America's first and only international airline and sole possessor of the technology, infrastructure, and procedures to safely and systematically fly the oceans. By 1939, when Pan Am inaugurated commercial transatlantic flights, a print advertisement proclaimed, "It is a small world," by Pan American. The ad observed that the world had essentially shrunk, thanks to speedy flying clippers binding together formerly distant lands. "Think what this change signifies," the ad rhetorically asked. "It means a new American leadership in this changing world. Those flying clippers are America's merchant marine of the air. They are recapturing, on international trade routes, a prestige that has been lost to this country since the days of sail." The ad practically proclaimed that Pan Am was spearheading America's global interests. Pan Am's status as instrument of the nation was hinted at in news describing how the airline outmaneuvered a competitor